In this video, I'll be going over the things that I've learned over my time playing Siege that if I knew sooner, it would have sped up my progression tenfold. The first thing I wish I knew sooner is how much your mindset affects your gameplay. The first step for me to having a good mindset in Siege is to have a learning mindset, because when you don't have a learning mindset, you don't learn from your mistakes, which causes you to create bad habits. Instead of creating bad habits, a person with a learning mindset is going to create good habits. And another thing to have a good mindset is to not take the game too serious. Especially if you're solo queue, you have to remember that Siege is a team game, so if your team is not playing good, you can't do anything about it. And something that really helps me is keeping focus. This is probably the most important part for me, because when I'm not focused, I make a lot of mistakes and I kind of go into autopilot. But when I'm really focused, the game becomes much easier. And the last thing is your confidence. When you have confidence in yourself and you actually start taking action when you're in a game, it makes it much easier to learn from your mistakes and create good habits, because you're putting yourself in much more situations to learn from, and you don't overthink as much. And that's just a few steps to having a good mindset for Siege, and I guarantee if you take those into account, you'll play much better. And if you want to play much better, you have to fill in gaps. Now, this either could be picking the operators that fill the roles that your teammates already haven't, or just holding or attacking certain areas of the map that your teammates aren't. So let's say you're attacking and you don't have a hard breacher, you can run Ace or Habana or Thermite. And let's say on defense, you don't have any wall denial to protect the wall, you can run Bandit or Arcade. Now, I don't recommend doing this every round, because sometimes your team is just a lost cause and you need to do your own thing to win the round. But like I said, filling in gaps could also mean gaps on the map. If none of your teammates are watching Printer, the attackers can just walk up the staircase or jump in the window over here and just freely kill your teammates. So you can either hold this area or just at least have an eye on it so that no one can just walk up, like I said. If you're on attack and you're attacking the same bomb site, if you see that all your teammates are running towards the wall, then you can attack Printer or attack Green, something like that, to draw the defender's attention away from your teammates or to just find a gap in their defense. You can do this in a 5-stack or solo queue, and it'll help your teammates and help you have a better plan. But the next thing that I wish I knew sooner is to pre-fire more. You gotta remember, you have extra bullets in your gun, so don't be scared to pre-fire more. It might lead to a free kill, which will cause you not to die. The only situation where you don't want to pre-fire is if the enemy doesn't know where you are. You don't want to give away your position by pre-firing, but pre-fire only helps you in like 99% of cases. And pre-firing also helps to override peeker's advantage. So if you're peeking someone or they're peeking you, pre-firing is going to help a lot. And all you have to do is just shoot through a wall. You don't even have to be that smart. If you just shoot through a wall, sometimes you might just end up getting a kill, and as long as you don't waste too many or bullets, you'll be fine. I mean, if you watch high-level players, they all pre-fire a lot, but they don't waste too many bullets. And if you become more experienced, you'll see that you get a lot of kills from pre-firing. And if you want to die a lot less from pre-firing, don't re-peek as much. If I'm holding an angle on this doorway expecting someone to peek head level and they peek crouch level, my crosshair is automatically going to go down to crouch level. So if the person on this doorway re-peeks at the exact same level, I don't have to adjust my crosshair at all. It's already going to be there because they just peeked from that level. So if I was the person on this doorway, instead of re-peeking crouched again, I would just peek head level, or I would just not peek again, maybe go for a pre-fire, something like that. Because like I said in the last part, pre-firing can get you a lot of kills. So the person over here might be pre-firing exactly where you were before. So either switching up your height level that you peek from, or just rotating and peeking from a different spot is going to get you killed a lot less. The next tip is prep phase drones. If you struggle against aggressive players, information is one of the key ways to turn their aggressions into a mistake. Playing aggressive only works if the other team lets you. So if you're on attack and the other team is running out and spawn peeking, use that against them by using pre-placed drones. Way too often I see that my teammates' drones are AFK and spawn, and what do you know? They end up getting spawn peeked. You should either be droning the site for your team, pre-placing a drone near your entry point, or saving your drone in spawn and then watching your teammate's drone. Rarely do I ever get spawn peeked, because having a drone set up before the defenders know that there's a drone watching them is going to make it so that I always have the advantage, so that you can turn their aggression into a free kill. Because think about it, if I'm going to be spawning over here, if I have my drone set up in a spot where I can watch all the spawn peeks, then I can't get spawn peeked, or at least I know about the spawn peek. Same thing, like if they're going to try to spawn peek this door, if I have my drone already pre-placed here, assuming that I'm going to enter from this doorway or something, then before the defenders can spot my drone, I already have it set up, and then I see them on the doorway, and then I can easily pre-fire them. Being active with your prep phase drone is going to separate you from a lot of players, giving you an advantage against a lot of players. And if you want an advantage against a lot of players, you need to change the settings that are holding you back. Mainly what I'm talking about is settings that will actually hurt your skill. Not things like sensitivity or colorblind mode, because they're mainly preference, but more things like screen shake, which I 100% recommend to turn off, or maybe if you have bad keybinds, or maybe if you have bad graphic settings. I've made a video about the best console settings, but I go over most every setting in the game in that video. If you're on PC, sensitivity and graphics are are obviously going to be different than console, but even if you're on PC, you'll get a lot of value out of that video, so it's popping up in the top right. But like I said, certain settings can actually make you worse. These are settings that the quicker you change them, the faster you'll progress, and if you leave them on for too long, you'll create bad habits or just in general make your gameplay worse. I can't really tell you what settings are going to 100% work for you and which ones are holding you back, so if you want to watch the settings video I made that goes over almost every setting, then you can watch that in the top right. But the next thing that I wish I knew sooner is to look where your teammates aren't. If I'm walking down a hallway and I have a teammate or a teammate's drone with me, you don't want to both be looking at the same angle, you want to be looking at different angles. Let's say your teammate's droning towards pillar. If you're following their drone, you can either look into freezer or supply, so that you're not looking at the exact same angle, because if your teammate's droning, if they call out that someone's near pillar, you can easily adjust and look over. And then if someone tries to swing from supply, you already have your crosshair there. Super simple and easy, and you can implement this right away. Another thing that you can implement right away is prepping barricades. Now there's a lot of different ways to prep a barricade, and I'm going to go over a way that a lot of people don't know that's super inconspicuous. When prepping barricades, the first thing that you want to look out for is if there's glass on the other side of the window. If there is, which in this case there is, you can easily just punch the bottom part of the window and then you can just vault through when you want to, because the glass on the other side is going to muffle the sound of you punching it. So basically it gets the job done by just normally punching it. You can do it in a little bit better ways, but just punching it will get the job done if there's glass on the other side. Now, if there isn't glass on the other side, just punching it might be too loud. So what you can do is either just shoot it once right here or just punch this part right here. And then you want to go to this little like barrier part right here and just punch this part twice. This is going to be much quieter than just punching it out, because this little part right here is very silent. And as you can see, I can easily vault out of it like it was normal. You can also do this on doorways by just shooting out a little portion like that. I don't know why this is glitched on this specific doorway, but then you just punch it twice again, and then you could vault through it again and then basically run out on somebody. And another one a lot of people don't know about is if you go up to a window and you kind of line your crosshair up and your body up diagonal, and then you just shoot out a little portion like that so it doesn't actually hit the glass on the other side but only the barricade. But as you can see, I can see through the other side, so I can see this ladder. This isn't the best example, but you get what I'm saying. You can basically spawn peek with only a little portion popping out. And then what you also can do is just shoot once into the window, once or twice, and so the other side is going to see broken window and it's going to be even harder to see you. And that's some of the best ways to prep a barricade, and that's super simple and easy to implement into your game. But the next thing I wish I knew sooner is to use default cams more, and specifically to look at which cams are shot to determine where the attackers are coming from. If I see that this default cam is shot, I know that at least one person spawned here. And let's say white hallway cam gets shot. Now I know that they probably spawned there, they went in through this doorway, and they're in this general area. And if I use the clues that this cam gets shot and I know that most likely they're going to enter by white, then I can already be on the cam and see, okay, they got a thermite, or they got, 3 people entering from here, whatever. So instead of wasting your time not knowing if anybody's going to enter from a certain area, you can actually rotate to a spot that you guaranteed no people are in that general area. This is something the attackers aren't going to think about too often, about if they shoot a default cam, how the defenders are going to react to it. So use that against them. But the next thing that I wish I knew sooner is just to use barricades more. A lot of people don't use barricades because they think they're not that useful because they're easy to destroy. But once you realize the main advantage to barricades is makes it so the enemy has to make noise. If I place a barricade here, the attackers, they either have to punch it or they have to shoot it, which makes noise, so I know where they are. Meaning I can kind of use barricades as safety. If I place this barricade here, I have more time to react if I'm looking this way. But you also got to remember not to place them in bad spots. Like if your teammates are going to need to rotate through the area, like maybe this one wouldn't be so good because a lot of your teammates or you would need to rotate through this doorway. But places that you don't want to pay attention to as much, you can place a barricade there for safety so that you'll at least have more time to react. If you feel you improved from this video or you enjoyed the video, consider liking and subscribing. And if you want to watch more of my content, then click the video popping up on your screen.